He's got a house full of children, and now he's going to spend the rest of his life in a penitentiary. I mean, who's going to take care of your kids?
Kalinka was only a teenager when she fell victim to a heinous act by a trusted adult. But justice took an unexpected turn when her father decided to take matters into his own hands. Fueled by rage and a desire to protect his daughter, Kalinka's father confronted the molester in a way that left everyone stunned. Here are 7 parents who didn't wait for the law to take its course and took revenge on child molesters. Number 7. Jason Browning. July 18, 2014 was a day that shook Daytona Beach, Florida to its core. In a startling turn of events, a frantic father, Jason Browning, dialed 911 with trembling hands. He reported a shocking scene.
Just walked in and found a grown man molesting, and I got him in a bloody puddle for you right now, officer.
He had caught someone molesting his son and had responded with fury, knocking the perpetrator out cold. The assailant, 18-year-old Raymond Frolander, lay unconscious on the floor, a stark reminder of the father's rage. When the 911 dispatcher inquired if weapons were involved, Browning's reply was chilling: "My fist and my foot." The photos of Frolander's battered face quickly went viral, painting a grim portrait of the night's brutal encounter. But the real story began the moment Browning walked into his home. The sight that greeted him, a trusted family friend with his pants down, triggered an unstoppable wrath. Driven by a visceral need to protect, Browning unleashed a storm of blows on Frolander, painting him black and blue. Amidst the chaos, Browning confessed over the phone, his voice thick with betrayal and anger. "I loved him until 15 minutes ago." In a twist of fate, as Browning stormed to the kitchen to grab a butcher knife, intent on ending it all.
And I didn't stop. The only time I paused was to go to the kitchen and retrieve a butcher knife, because I was going to kill him.
A small voice halted his vengeance. His son, the very victim of the ordeal, simply said, "Dad," shaking his head. At that moment, the knife dropped and a different decision was made. On April 2nd, 2015, justice echoed through the courtroom as Frolander received a 25-year sentence, dodging a life term by accepting a plea deal. Additionally, his future would be marred by a permanent label, sex offender, complete with a GPS tracker upon release. The local police chief, Michael Chitwood, later remarked on Browning's actions, affirming, "The father acted as a father should. No charges were brought against him, a testament to the community's understanding of a father's fury." Number 6. Gary Plauché. Gary Plauché was a regular guy who led a simple life until one day, everything turned upside down. On a chilly morning at the airport on March 16, 1984, Gary waited with a mix of hope and dread. Cameras rolled as a moment of sheer intensity unfolded. Gary shot Jeff Doucette dead, a man who had kidnapped his son, Jody. Before this tragic day, Gary's life was ordinary. He had served a stint in the Air Force, sold equipment, and even worked behind the camera at a local news station. Nothing out of the ordinary for Gary, just everyday life. But that all changed one shocking day in February when his son's karate instructor, Jeff Doucette, tricked Jody into a supposed quick ride. Doucette, a trusted figure in their lives, had darker plans. He whisked Jody away to the West Coast, altering their appearances along the way. The journey ended in a dingy motel near Disneyland, where Doucette committed a horrendous act against his young student. Jody, showing incredible bravery, managed to call his parents. The police traced the call, swooped in, and rescued him, bringing him back home to Louisiana. But peace eluded Gary, who spent days anxiously gathering information at a local bar. Luck struck when a news colleague tipped him off about Doucette's return. Disguised in a baseball cap and sunglasses, Gary positioned himself in the Baton Rouge airport. As Doucette was escorted by police, Gary, hidden within the crowd, pulled a gun from his boot and delivered a fatal shot to Doucette's head. The incident, captured on camera, went viral, drawing millions of views. Amidst the chaos, as a policeman restrained him, Gary tearfully justified his actions, claiming any parent would have done the same. Despite the public's mixed emotions, the law was clear. Charged with manslaughter, Gary was handed a suspended 7-year sentence and probation. He completed his community service and returned to an under-the-radar life, forever marked by the day he defended his son. Number 5. Kenneth Falkner. In July 2015, in the heart of Maury County, Tennessee, a father's fierce protective instincts ignited an explosive showdown. Kenneth Falkner, unable to bear the thought of Thomas Williams, a man who solicited his daughters, escaping with a mere slap on the wrist, 3 years of supervised probation, reached his breaking point. The trouble began in late 2014 when Falkner, a vigilant father in his 30s, sensed something deeply troubling about his daughter's well-being. Swiftly acting on his suspicions, He alerted the Columbia Police Department. The worst of his fears were confirmed. His daughters had been preyed upon by Williams, a supposed family acquaintance. By March 2015, Williams faced indictment on 2 counts of soliciting a minor, a serious crime involving the enticement of under 18s into inappropriate acts. Despite his arrest and a $2,000 bond in April, Williams was back on the streets the same day. As the case concluded with Williams pleading guilty, yet avoiding jail time, Falkner's frustration boiled over. Overcome with rage, he confronted Williams at his home. Recounting the ordeal, Falkner shared how he demanded answers only to receive a helpless "I don't know" from Williams. In a flash of flurry, Falkner unleashed a torrent of blows, pushing Williams down the stairs and continuing the assault, an act of desperation that sent Williams to the hospital. The aftermath was grim. Williams walked free, while Falkner, charged with aggravated assault, stood by his actions, declaring, "I did it for my daughters. Would I go to jail for my daughters? You're damn right I would. It's not right. These people don't have to listen to my daughters waking up in the middle of the night screaming, 'Stop.'" Number 4. Barry Gilton and Lupe Mercado. Parents often go to great lengths to protect their children, and Barry Gilton and Lupe Mercado's story is no exception. In July 2012, after learning that their daughter was entangled with a dangerous pimp named Calvin Sneed, who was exploiting her in Los Angeles, Barry and Lupe's world turned upside down. The couple from San Francisco discovered that Sneed was not only pretending to be in a romantic relationship with their daughter Letitia, but was also violently coercing her into prostitution. Determined to save her, Barry and Lupe attempted to persuade Letitia to return home, but she was too entangled in Sneed's manipulative grasp. Feeling cornered and desperate to protect their daughter, Barry made a drastic decision. He reached out to his cousin Antonio Gilton and friend Alfonso Williams, who had connections to the Central Divisadero Players, a gang known in Barry's old neighborhood. They hatched a plan to confront Sneed directly. The situation escalated on June 4, 2012. As Sneed drove to pick up Letitia, an SUV suddenly blocked his path. Shots rang out from the vehicle, causing Sneed to lose control and crash his car into a parked van, painting a violent end to the confrontation. Initially, Barry and Lupe faced murder charges, but the case took an unexpected turn. They were indicted under federal RICO and Vicar Acts, extending their time in custody without trial to 5 or 6 years. The prosecution struggled to prove their involvement in a broader criminal conspiracy, relying more on speculation than concrete evidence. In a dramatic courtroom twist, the evidence wasn't enough to convict them of racketeering, leading to their acquittal on those charges. However, they weren't completely free. They were found guilty of being accessories to murder. The tale of Barry and Lupe is a grim reminder of the lengths some will go to protect their loved ones, capturing a sense of desperation and fear that resonates deeply. Number 3. Andre Bamberski. On a chilling day in 1982, tragedy unfolded in Lindau, Germany, as Kalinka Bamberski was found lifeless at her stepfather's residence. The examination revealed disturbing details: injection marks and torn private parts with an unidentified white substance inside her. Strangely, no one tested this substance. Even more shocking, her reproductive organs were mysteriously removed during the autopsy. Let's dive into the key players of this dark tale. Kalinka's biological father, Andre Bamberski, was in France when he heard the devastating news. Horrified, he couldn't believe what had happened to his daughter. On the other side, her stepfather, Dieter Krombach, a well-known doctor, faced minimal questioning by the German police just once. It later emerged that he had administered several substances to her, and shockingly, may have even been present at her autopsy. With the case abruptly closed by prosecutors claiming no foul play, Bamberski was driven by a father's resolve. He accused Krombach publicly, distributing leaflets and hiring a lawyer in France to press charges. The plot thickened as Krombach's past surfaced, revealing a prior conviction for drugging and assaulting a patient. In a dramatic twist in 2009, Bamberski orchestrated Krombach's kidnapping from Germany, delivering him directly to French authorities. This bold move led to Krombach's arrest and a 15-year prison sentence, of which he served 9 before being released on medical grounds in 2020. The tale doesn't end there. Bamberski, tried in 2014 for the kidnapping, received a 1-year suspended sentence. It's hard to imagine the mixed emotions Bamberski felt, but one thing is clear: his unyielding determination and love for his daughter knew no bounds. Number 2. Eduardo Gallo. In July 2000, a chilling scene unfolded at Eduardo's weekend home in Tepoztlán, Mexico. His daughter, Paola, only 25, mysteriously disappeared. The nightmare worsened when Eduardo received a call from a gang demanding a massive ransom for Paola's return. Desperate, he gathered $188,500 and some jewelry, hoping for her safe comeback. but the story took a dark turn. A week later, Paola's lifeless body was found. At her funeral, Eduardo's heartbreak was palpable as he said, "I'll always love you, my adored child. Thank you for your smile and your courtesies. Thank you for your songs, your happiness, and your love of life. You always lit the path so I could distinguish between justice and vengeance." The pain of losing Paola was immense, magnified by the horror of her last moments marked by gunshots. This tragedy transformed Eduardo. He closed his consulting firm and turned into a relentless detective on a quest for justice. He spent days analyzing phone records and following leads on the streets. His determination uncovered a shocking fact: 90% of kidnappings in Mexico are never reported, frozen by fear of brutal retaliation. Paola's kidnapping was bold. Men had stormed the house, seizing her and escaping in stolen cars. But Eduardo's resolve was fiercer. He wasn't just any grieving father, he was a man on a mission. His efforts paid off when he traced a kidnapper to a payphone used after the crime. This led to a police stakeout and the arrest of 28-year-old Francisco Zamaro Arellano, who confessed to the crime. Eduardo's journey from despair to dogged detective inspires awe. Amidst unbearable grief, he became a beacon of hope, proving that even in times of dire tragedy, one can light up the dark paths toward justice. Number 1. Jay Maynor. June 18, 2014. A harrowing day unfolds in Alabama. Jay Maynor, driven by a father's fierce protection, steps into a nightmare scenario years in the making. Back in 2002, Raymond Earl Brooks, the adopted grandfather of Jay's daughter Julia, confessed to a horrifying act, abusing her. His punishment? A shockingly brief 18 months behind bars. It's a verdict that shatters any sense of justice. Fast forward to that fateful day in 2014. Jay, witnessing his daughter Julia battle PTSD and the ruins of her personal life, all lingering shadows of her past abuse, reaches a breaking point. Brooks, a man who should have been a pillar of trust and love, instead left a legacy of pain and betrayal. On this day, Jay, armed with a deep-seated rage and a gun, makes a decision that will forever alter the course of their lives. He sets out with a singular, chilling goal: to confront the man who destroyed his daughter's innocence. As Jay steers towards Brooks' home, his anger spills over. He also fires at a local store, targeting a man once involved with his stepdaughter, believing him to be another source of abuse in his family's life. Though this man escapes harm, Jay's actions escalate to charges of attempted murder. Later, Jay Maynor faces the consequences of his actions. Pleading guilty, he's sentenced to 40 years. His daughter Julia stands by him, saying he acted in the only way he felt he could to protect his family. He accepted the plea deal to spare her the agony of revisiting her darkest days in court. This story leaves us pondering the depths of a father's love and the lengths to which he'll go when a justice system fails. Was Jay Maynor's response justified? That's a question that echoes unresolved.